Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. It's a real pleasure tonight to reintroduce you to Eric Sana. He runs a menswear company and a menswear retail store. He's one of those people in my life that has taught me a lot about fashion, and he's launching his own fashion and style podcast and show. He's got a store at Sherway. He's previously had stores downtown Toronto and out in Oakville, and he's a man that really knows his fashion, knows his style, knows his substance. Eric Sana, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, Brian.
My pleasure. So let's talk a little bit about your philosophy, if we could, of fashion and style. You've been in the business for a couple of decades. Where are we today? It used to be, the man that had to look the same in the 1950s, and we all had a gray flannel suit, and then people were wearing suits all the time, and now people are working hybrid and are casual and are wearing sports jackets or no jackets. Is it still the suit makes the man, or is that gone in the bygones?
A very good question, and I guess depends how you look at it. Thank you, by the way, again, for having me on the show. Just a background and what I do. I've been in fashion for, as you said, 20 years. Yeah, it seems a long time. I started actually very different. I started more on a service side of fashion business, and I've kind of been back opposite of what usually people start with product and collections and then go into service. I went into a service tailoring fashion business, and then over the years I've built an idea of creating an Eric Sana way of fashion, Eric Sana way of thinking towards clothing and lifestyle in general. So what that means to me is finding a way to express yourself in your individual way. As we've gone, as you said, over the years, decades, and changed, as everything else changed, fashion changed too, and became more expressive in our way, or maybe, but in some ways it's very paradox to me, Brian. We have become expressive, but we also became more on our own, kind of an individual, which is kind of makes us not open because of the social media, because of all these technical things that we have. But so I felt, how do I add to this change? So in my view, in my way of Eric Sana expressing to fashion is, I believe by giving Eric Sana point of view, you become a brand. You wearing an Eric Sana brand, which is something obviously it's important to me as a brand creator, but wearing an Eric Sana brand, you express yourself in your own way. So we help hopefully our clients with finding they truly feel who they are, how they feel, and how can they express themselves through wearing Eric Sana. So how do I do that? I do that by ensuring the garments fit well, but also are very comfortable. So to achieve that, I've basically focused on having fabrics that are very comfortable, malleable, flexible, stretchable. But I also am making sure also that to add the tailoring aspect of it to ensure the fit is in the right place. So that's basically the philosophy of kind of an idea of Eric Sana, ensuring that you are fitted well, but very comfortable.
Now, I've bought several of your shirts. They have an insignia on the sleeve, which is very unique. And often people will comment about that. What's the insignia?
So Pegasus. And the meaning of Pegasus to me, well, I love horses, that's for sure. But an expression of an animal like horse, to me, a pinnacle of all is something unachievable, something that I'd like to do through my philosophy of my brand. I always strive for perfection. And to me, Pegasus is that, a perfection of a horse, something unachievable, but something visually beautiful, stylish, strong, full of integrity. And hence Pegasus, to me, expresses all that. And I hope the Eric Sana brand, Eric Sana expression, emulates the same feelings with our customers.
And your retail store right now is in Sherway, is that correct?
Correct. So pre-COVID, it's a little background. Pre-COVID, I've done collections on wholesale. So I've been to shows in the US, in shows like Vegas, Chicago, New York. And then during the COVID time, we've closed things up. And basically, after COVID, I've decided to expand the collection and have a full Eric Sana fashion collection for spring and for fall, anything from socks to coats. And this time around, I went to retail and have this in, I believe, arguably one of the best retail malls in Canada, Sherway Gardens. If nothing else, it's one of the best in the mall. And I think this is our customer that appreciates that, because she too, but mostly they do shop this mall on a regular basis. It's not as busy as Yorkdale, but it's as fashion level as Yorkdale or Eaton Center or Pacific Center in Vancouver. So that's basically for the moment. We only have one location in Sherway. Our goal is to grow, but at this point, after about a year and a half, we have enough business indication, that we need to continue, because the clientele does appreciate what we've done really, really well.
And are most of your clothes from Italy, or where are they manufactured?
So because of the aspects of my background, I always like to say I love Canada. I'm Canadian, but I'm a Eurocrat at heart. I can't change that. That's who I am. And to me, the epitome of fashion really in Europe still has to be Italy, although all due respect to France and other countries. But Italy is, especially when it comes to manufacturing, fabrication. So it made sense to me to go back home in that sense and create product in Italy, bring a little bit of a piece of Italy. Although in Canada, we've done that. I mean, we have European flair in other stores, other retailers. But I'd like to beg to differ, because Eric Sana is more than a store. I believe I know I'm a brand, and I believe I create something that is very different and very, very unique. So bringing that Italy feeling into one store, where you can get the product, fabrics made in Italy, manufactured in Italy. You come here, you get an espresso with us, a true Napolitano espresso. Maybe arguably, I'd like to think Bourbon is one of the best bean that you can get, and gives that crema, and it's a little heavier, but it's crema. So all of those feelings of Italy, I believe, I'd like people to feel here, the music and everything else. But to again give the fashion Eric Sana point of view, which is fit and comfort.
But it's also very stylish, is it not? So I understand the fit and comfort, but it's very stylish.
Well, it is stylish. I would say, as some people would like to call me, and I see occasionally, I see comments, quiet luxury. I see different expressions of Eric Sana. As a matter of fact, one of the customers said to me, "Eric, you are a quiet luxury." I'd like to think I'm unexpected luxury. Because
unexpected luxury.
Because I am, Brian. When you come and try something on, so I mentioned I start with fabrication. It's very important to me. I'm a lover. I have a passion for fabrics. I don't know why, but I do. I have a law background, but I'm a lover of fabrics. So I bring fabrics. Then I also bring unconstructed way of creating garment, where does the comfort comes in place. You wear Eric Sana garment, your body will, over time, with this garment, the garment will conform to your body. So believe it or not, all these seams that are hugging your body will change based on your posture of your body. So it's so interesting how many people say to me often, Eric, it's really strange. Your jacket fits better now than before, because it does change, it does evolve, and I that's what I'd like to see. And this is what I say, Brian, fit and comfort. Of course, stylish. Of course, you gotta add a segment of style, but it has to be understated. To me, that cleverness of understatement of fashion is very important. And in all due respect to the guy that I used to, I must say, admired watching on TV and miss him on TV, Don Cherry. I'd like to think
He
that
was certainly
I'm
not
a Don Cherry
understated.
expression. Yes, yeah, but I'd like, again, achieving this style without a lot of maybe ornaments or colors or distinction, but yet a great feeling is very important to me. Because as you started this podcast, or whatever you call it, by
Radio
saying
show.
are correct. So are we the suit, or the suit makes us, or the other way around? I believe Eric Sana customer wears a garment and he makes a garment. The garment doesn't make him. He makes it. Why? Because feeling good in the garment, feeling good in what you wear, it's very important. Then you exude some kind of energy that I believe connects with people around you. Hence, they feel good around you. And I think this is my goal. This is my mission when my customer is with me.
We're going to have to take a break for some messages, and we're going to be back in just 2 minutes with Eric Sana on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're just going to be chatting a little bit about men's fashion, about style, about substance, about the trends, about brands, about being authentic to who you are. And then also, I think Eric has gone through his own personal metamorphosis, and we're going to chat a little bit about that as well. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting with Eric Sana tonight. We're talking about men's fashion. We're talking about style. We're talking about substance. We're talking about trends. Eric, you were talking about brands and what the Eric Sana brand means. It's interesting because I do feel, I got to be honest, a little bit different when I'm wearing an Eric Sana suit or an Eric Sana shirt and people notice the Pegasus. I think they notice the fit, but I hadn't really thought about it in the way you talked about it. And so let me ask you, if you had to compare, and you may or may not want to use specific names, but if you had to compare what, a Polo, Ralph Lauren versus a Brooks Brothers versus a Harry Rosen versus a Eric Sana, what do you think those different brands say about the individual wearing them or the clothes they're wearing?
Very good question. But in there you had the brand, and then you also had a retail concept. I mean, the Harry Rosen is an epitome. It is absolutely amazing what that guy has done for Canada and for fashion, and he's brought a lot of Italy and Europe into Canada in such a great way. And I admire the man very, very, very much. I know the man, I knew the man, and I'm very, very honored to know the man who Harry Rosen was. The other brands you mentioned also are great brands, and they do well. But you got to segmentize, Brian. You have to look at the brands in different way, because Polo Ralph Lauren or Calvin Klein or Boss, even Boss, Hugo Boss. I think the items that we see in Canada are not perhaps true brand expressions. They may not come to Canada. They may go places like New York, perhaps more stage-driven garments. So
hold it. So you're saying a Boss suit that I would buy here would be different than a Boss suit in New York or a Boss suit in Europe?
I guarantee you it will be different
Really?
for several reasons. There's some practical reasons, because Canadian segment of the population is very different and have different needs, but also different wants. So all of that is taking into account when the brands come to different regions. and that makes a lot of sense. But I'm very disappointed with quality that comes to Canada. And I'm not going to mention the brands. It's not important right here. I focus on my work. I focus what I do. And you know, something people ask me often, do you think of your customer when you create? I love what Tarantino said, Quentin, the producer, the movie producer. He said something about movies that I really resonated with me really well. He said, I create movies for myself. Then I go watch and I invite the audience, and whoever comes is welcome. And in some ways, I feel the same way. I create this for Eric Sana. And what I'm humbled to see in the last 2 years in Sherway Gardens, I'm honored and truly, truly humbled to see how many customers have connected with what I've created, and how much love they've shown towards what I've done is absolutely very, very. I'm honored, basically, at what I've seen so far. And something else was interesting, Brian. It's almost like creating a painting, and somebody comes in front of that painting and gives you a story about painting that you didn't think about while painting it. And that's how I feel sometimes in the store. They give me, there's certain things about the product that I have created, and they give me ideas that I haven't thought about. So to me, it tells me there's a connection, there's love, there's an expression of inner connection that I was looking forward to seeing. And so back to your original question, I really don't know, not with respect to everybody, don't really much care. I focus on what I do, what I believe, what I see, and express that through products that I create. Again, starting with fabrics, extremely important to me. And we are so lucky now, Brian, because of technology has improved so much. Our ability to create garments in so many different ways is so much out there, so much available. And it's so much easier now than ever before to create a garment without so much support inside. You know, we used to have so many pads, so much lining, so much of canvassing, so much fusing. We don't need that anymore because of the garments, because of the fabric, the way it's created. I don't know if I answered your question, but
yep, no, that's helpful. I was surprised you've got double-breasted suits for sale.
Yes,
Are double-breasted suits back?
I'm wearing one right now, and I'm almost exclusive to double-breasted. Double-breasted expressions in suitings are, you're right, maybe 5% of out there garments. But it is really, if someone wants to express himself or herself, but in this case more himself, in more fashion sense, to me, the double-breasted would be the answer. So that's from the form point of view. From the function point of view, the only issue with double-breasted from the function point of view is that you have to keep it close. You have to keep it buttoned up in order to have the actual proper expression of the double-breasted suit, double-breasted jacket. Where single-breasted, obviously, you can keep it open, and most of the time you would keep it open.
That's interesting. So a double-breasted, you have to keep done up. A single,
yes.
you don't.
Yeah, that's from yes, that is really a kind of a accepted notion out there. Yes.
And then a linen suit?
Sorry?
A linen suit?
Yes, I have a great response to our linen collection. We've done so well with this white linen suit. It's amazing. By the way, another aspect of currently, this may change, but at the store right now, where I give Canada right now, Brian, I build most of garments in 6, 8, and 11 pieces. So for instance, this suit, white suit, was made only 8 pieces. So one may say, well, Eric, it's a white suit. What the hell is, what is a big deal about that? Well, there is a big deal about that, because the way it's made, the way it's constructed, the piece of a handwork on it gives this suit a little bit more of a different than any other white suit that you may see. So at the moment, at the Sherway Garden store, a lot of pieces will be very unique, and you're going to be able to have something that it's very different, that you're not going to find anywhere. Arguably, I would say in North America, you may be able to find something in Italy like this, but you're not going to find this specific suit anywhere else but Eric Sana store, Sherway Gardens.
And colors. I was surprised, people had told me brown was not a color to wear.
If you talk about colors, I don't. We can go. That's another show, probably all together. I would never say, never say you can't wear one color or the other. There is two aspects to be considered here. One is shades of color that makes a difference. So there you go. That theory of you can't wear a color, it goes down the drain, because you can. Many different shades you can. Something else very important, that I call it a bridging color. You take out two colors and you bridge another color that really connects these two colors and makes a difference. And something also to consider, you can't, the way I view fashion and colors, you can't really look at one item per se or one article on you. You know that the Gestalt theory of parts, making it a whole, I always look at it as a whole rather than parts of a whole, where all those parts put together make so much difference than parts on its own, if that makes any sense. But yep. I do consider that very much. So the color is only one part. The texture is another. The shade is another. What you're putting it with is another. So many different actually aspects that make a difference that you really, it's impossible to say you can't wear one color or the other.
How about how you put the whole look together? I was surprised. I guess maybe I'm sort of old-fashioned or traditional, but I almost always wear a shirt with a collar. And the shirt tends to be either one color or maybe checked at most. And you've got models with very flowered shirts underneath the jacket. And then you've got models with t-shirts underneath jackets. You've only got one model that's got what Brian Crombie would typically wear, which is a collared shirt underneath the jacket. Tell me, how are you telling people to put together their outfit today?
It's really driven by the other factors, that everything's kind of eased off in expressions. A lot of stores or a lot of industries have changed the dress codes. I don't know if you remember, Brian, the days of Casual Fridays when that came out. I look at the Armani background and 70s and 80s when everything changed. It became like a football player types of shoulders. Then that kind of eased off, and then we went into another segment called Casual Fridays. It's all great, but it was never really explained properly. So you can wear absolutely a t-shirt with a suit, or a mandarin color rather than a full color with a suit, so long I think attention is paid to those parts. So the t-shirt is not a t-shirt that you would sleep in. It's a t-shirt that you will wear out. So there's a difference in a t-shirt, what kind of t-shirt you would wear. And then obviously considering textures of those t-shirts, texture of a suit that you're wearing, those two textures, do they complement each other? You always kind of need, if there is a rule of thumb, maybe if there is a rule of thumb, there's one rule of thumb that I use a lot, which is let one color, one pattern overpower the other pattern. So there's
one pattern overpower the other.
Correct. So let's say that you're using prints or stripes or some kind of abstract prints, and that's okay. It's all okay. There's a paradox also works. Paradox works, meaning the two patterns are so different that they so beautifully work together. And how do you do that? You make sure that are those two or three or four patterns that you're putting together, make sure that one pattern overpowers the other ones. Once it overpowers, it takes over and lets the other patterns complement the main pattern. Hence, now everything as those parts, as a theory of parts, that as unit, it makes sense, and it really looks presentable. And then something else is very important. The person that hopefully worked with you explained that well to you, where you're going to feel, you or the client feels very comfortable, understands this. And this is what I believe Eric Sana hopefully brings a difference. We like to educate. We like to work with our clients to give them a different point of view of what they buy and in clothing and how they wear it. And including these colors, including the textures and styles, and all of the above.
Now, in this linen suit example, and your color, your sort of design, it was all in a scarf. The suit was white, the t-shirt was blue, and the scarf is what sort of stood out. I went through your website. I only found one example of a tie. I still end up having to wear ties whenever I go into an important meeting. Are ties out and are scarves in?
Again, a great question. That's nothing to do with no ties. That's just the inability of Eric Sana to have a great website as of yet. I think we are working towards it. I think we're coming out well. We have ties, and we have ties in the store. Lots of ties, and I think you will see in next week a lot more ties on the website. I do create ties, and by the way, my ties come from a little town in Sorrento, in Napoli, just about an hour from Napoli. And a buddy of mine, Romino, I believe, Marzullo, makes the best ties in the world, and we collaborate and we make ties together. So I do pay attention, Brian, to ties, and I think ties won't go away. You're right, they are minimized, not as much, but the website is not an indication how much ties. It truly isn't. I gotta admit that. When you come to the store, you will see that we have ties, and I think there is a place for ties. Okay. You may not wear it as much as you used to, but there's definitely a place for ties.
And can I wear a scarf like you showed?
Scarves are very much in Europe. It's very normal for guys to have ties. I have scarves around their neck, either for dinner or even during the lunch break when they go for a lunch. Not so much in Canada, but I am bringing a lot of scarves, and currently we have linen scarves because of the season. What we just got in, I mean, it's a beautiful model and cashmere scarves that is so soft, so amazingly beautiful, and I believe unexpectedly luxuriously priced for, I think, Canada. Made again in Sorrento, Napoli, and those scarves, it could be worn as a fashion piece. I mean, a lot of people obviously wear it functionally for warmth, but it's a fashion piece too. That's what you see. That's what you were showing there. The linen scarf that has a purple flower. This particular one is a wool and cashmere, but a very fine wool and cashmere. Our model, Paul Finkbeiner, amazing model that is a really a great guy too. He wears that green scarf. It's a beautiful, very easy wear scarf. Again, not warmth per se, but it's a fashion piece. As you compare it to a tie, actually, you put that well together, Brian. It is almost an expression of your style. Instead of a tie, you put a scarf on.
Okay, I gotta ask you. Can I actually really wear shorts with a jacket?
My God, Brian, I'd wear, again, it's something that we work with client and educate client. Absolutely. Look at how Paul looks great in this expressions. And this is not only for a casual night out at the boat. This is actually, I wear this to work. I wear a lot of this to work, and I'm humbly, I may say this, I see my competition around putting these looks in the window now. I haven't seen this before, but I'm seeing it now, and I think you can. Yes, in this case, Paul is wearing a beautiful cotton stretch jacket This is a cotton unconstructed stretch jacket that you can truly wear all year round because it has a velvet finish. There's a velvetness to it. And then he's wearing a linen shorts. In this case, he doesn't have to be linen. It could be a cotton shorts, but he's wearing a linen shorts with an Eric Sana patina shoe and linen shirt. So that looks it's very, very smart casual dressing. But see, another aspect, you mentioned brand ties, you mentioned scarves, but also let's mention pocket squares.
Pocket squares. I thought pocket squares were squares. This guy's pocket square is anything but a square.
Correct. And as a matter of fact, it's a kind of paradox. There's a pocket square that we have. It's a round pocket square. So it's a round square that you put in, as in you putting a flower in your pocket, and it does give that impression of a flower. In this case, it is a square, but we do have round ones as well. And that also gives a little attention to details. It's not a lot, but again, that unexpected luxury where it's shown that Paul has thought before he left the house by putting a pocket square. It doesn't have to be this way. This just one expression. There's something I called Australian Opera House that I put the pocket square in triangle pieces, and that looks truly like that Australian Opera House look. And that's a different look of. So there's a different way of putting a pocket square, but it does show a little attention to details on your part by wearing one pocket square.
We're going to take a break for some messages and be back in 2 minutes with Eric Sana of the Eric Sana fashion brand. And we're talking a little bit about men's fashion, about suits, about styles of colors and brands, retail. But Eric, you said that you had gone through your own metamorphosis, and maybe when we come back, we can chat a little bit about that, because I think it's really important that all of us go through stages in our lives. And so I think understanding, a little bit about yours might be really helpful to people because it's part of who you are. It's part of your style. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. My guest tonight is Eric Sana. Eric has a retail store and a fashion brand. Sherway Gardens in Toronto is where he is currently located. I used to call on him both in Oakville, where he had, I guess, a warehouse outlet and a wholesale outlet. I mean, and then downtown, you had a store on Victoria Avenue near the Financial District at one point in time. I've got way too many of your suits and shirts upstairs in my closet. I really have enjoyed your fashion over the years, Eric. So I appreciate it. You said before we got on air that you'd gone through your own metamorphosis recently and you lost some weight. Tell me about that metamorphosis, if you could.
Yeah, I do. I go through these stages, I guess, in life, as we all do. I've decided to, and I haven't accomplished it yet, but it's my goal. Basically the goal is to achieve being able to do a human flag.
A human flag.
A human flag. So I ask you guys, whoever you listen to this, go online and find what does human flag mean. So it is a complicated aspect. It is something that gymnasts do a lot. So I went into calisthenics. So calisthenics is two reasons. One, it's obviously going to help me to what I want to achieve, but it's something else. I'm not a weightlifter. I don't necessarily like lifting weights, and I do get injured a lot. So I remove weights out of my exercise routine. So what I do a lot of calisthenics. And for those who don't know what calisthenics is basically a gymnastic idea of exercising where you do not use your own body as weight. Whatever you do, your push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, all of that is done without any support and other equipment. There are a few other small equipment, but generally 80% of it is your own. So I'd like to achieve that. I'd like to get there. So in order to do that, I had to shave a few pounds, which I have. I think at this point, I'm about 13, 14 pounds down. if not 15, but 13, 14 for sure. I'm trying to get my fat content down, and something most important for this routine, for this exercise, is to have your core well. Your core has to be very strong. So to do that, there are certain exercises that apply, and I've been doing that. Something else I've done, and I think I will continue. And I've done this before, but I will always go back. I cut my booze, alcohol. So I used to do a month or 4 months. I was told that, whether true or not, that every 4 months your blood, total body blood changes. So I would have 4 months alcohol free. But you know what? Now, after about 5 months, actually, I'm enjoying it very, very much, and I think I'm going to continue. So alcohol free, change the sugar intake, and something very important: timing of your food. When you eat and when you exercise, I've changed that too, and with no much effort. I didn't really remove food. I still eat about the same, probably more than before. But the exercise, the timing of the exercise and food and alcohol has really changed and brought me to a position that I feel much stronger, and I think very soon I'll be able to do it. By the way, for this, I'm not promoting and suggesting anybody to do it themselves. It is a complicated thing to do. I am going to get by the way, Brian, I'm going to get help. We have one of our clients who was an ex-Canadian champion, gymnast champion. Scott McDonald is our amazing client and a model as well. He will be my teacher and kind of a support to ensure that I can achieve what I want to achieve. So yeah, to me, that's really my story.
And it's called being a human flag.
Human flag. It's to simplify that, to explain, it's basically when you two hands, you're holding yourself on the pole horizontally.
Oh my God. I
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to do that even vertically.
You're absolutely right. It is, oh my God. But I believe that I would like to do it. And I, even at the age, I'm not 30, although I think I am 37, I think not 30, 37, that's what I think. But I am going to attempt to do this, and I have people and I have support. And that's what's important, having support around you. And having your decision, you make a decision and you go for it, ensuring that you have support around you. I think goals are achievable. You
said you changed the timing of when you eat. How do you eat differently now?
So I tried not to, used to, as European as I am, and a lot of Europeans do this a lot. I don't know, but other cultures, we eat often late at night, 8, 9, 10, and go to bed. Even though my uncle, who taught me many things, was a doctor too. He said, Eric, do not eat ever after 6:30 in the evening. But I never listened. So I cut that, and I went back to his recommendation. I eat in the morning, and I have my very simple breakfast with boiled eggs. By the way, no more fried or no more baked, or only boiled eggs with fruit. I most of the time, not all the time, skip lunch, and I eat now at dinner time, 6:30 the latest. I do not do what I used to do a lot, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And because that's just me, this is only, I'm talking about myself, and I'm not suggesting anybody to do anything there, because everybody's different. Eating late at night, and I prefer to go into bed earlier. I usually read at 9. I fall asleep at 10. So eating late and going to bed late early is a problem. For me, it was a problem. So but I wake up early. I'm a 5 a.m. club guy. Not that I'm giving support to Robin Sharma in his book 5 a.m. Club, but I am 5 a.m. actually before even Robin. With respect to you, Robin, I did that myself before you did it. I am a 5 a.m. club. I'm even sometimes at 4:30. I wake up. I do my spiritual morning thing. I do my reading or writing, and I do my exercise. So those are the three things that I do in the morning. I'm up at 4:35. I do my spiritual thing. I do read and write, and then I exercise. And then something else I've changed that I haven't done before. And I got to thank somebody who's taught me this and was able to push me into this. I do even exercise now after work at 5 or 6 p.m., which was unthinkable for me when the alcohol was involved, because what happened at 5 or 6 was with my buddies to be at the pub or at least during the week a few times. That's changed, and that allowed me now to exercise in the evening as well. And it's absolutely amazing feeling at this point.
Congratulations. That's great. You also said you got rid of sugar. Is that just in the alcohol or elsewise as well?
I got rid of, I reduced. I must say, I cannot say that I totally did it because it's impossible for me and other for others. I drink coffee always black. It's always been black, never been with anything else. But I do like pastries, and I do have that with coffee occasionally, and that I haven't given up yet. So I will have that, but I will not have at night cakes and any of that. That I do remove.
Eric, not every time,
Yes.
but almost every time I've been in one of your stores, you've had an interesting gentleman that's been there trying something on or picking something up, and you've introduced me to them. And they've always had some interesting careers, and you've known them extremely well. Do you have a philosophy about getting to know your clients? And how do you establish those personal relationships?
Well, another great question, Brian, because it is a personal. It is everything's personal in with Eric Sana, because as I said, I'm a representation of the brand, and it's my expression of how I feel we need to express ourselves. So getting to know the clients, to me, giving them space, very important to me. Getting their comfort in place and offering my support while they're here is very important to me. I think about this, so it's by design. I truly think about this with the client comes in. So giving them space and offering them my availability, because it is kind of unusual that you would have a designer or brand creator in the store too in Canada. I'm sure there exists, but I don't know of at the moment. So I can see how much they appreciate that, and that makes me truly humble, and that makes me truly thankful that they appreciate my support and support of my staff. But giving them space, making them feel comfortable, making them feel at home and connected to me and to the brand is a very, very important factor. So when they leave, that they leave with, I always say, Brian, even to my staff, giving ordinary, anybody could do that. You go anywhere, giving the ordinary is potentially available to you. But getting an extraordinary is something that is not available to you. So I want you to think, I do think, and I want you to think, my staff, to give clients an extraordinary experience, so that every time they go to their closet, the thought process of Eric Sana will come through their mind. But in order for them to do that, you got to add the extra into ordinary in that experience of the store. So that saying, Brian, that people talk about in retail, experiential fashion, that is something that I believe I'd like to achieve in my store, where you truly have the experience when you come to our store. And perhaps if you allow me a minute to explain where do I take this to a next level. Just recently, I don't know if you know that, in June, we elevated that expression of Eric Sana expression. We took some of our clients with me to Italy.
I heard about that.
You heard about that. So first trip was in June. So because I had lots of clients often ask me, Eric, the connection. I love your product. I love what you do. I also talk about if you go to this PT show in Italy. What is PT? So I said, okay, you know what? Let's go together. So we've done this now, first time ever. We took clients with us. It was about 7 of us. So what we've done, we went to Pitti in Florence to see the show. We went to the winery, a couple of wineries. Then we went to Napoli. We gave them a made-to-measure suit experience right there, right in the show, in my showroom in Napoli, where they enjoyed the made-to-measure experience in the factory, actually, where the suits are made. Then we took them to Sorrento. We showed them Amalfi Coast. And I think most importantly, I'd like to, tourists go to do touristy stuff. But when they came with us, they didn't do touristy stuff. They did stuff as if they're there in Napoli or in Florence. And I think this is what they appreciated very much. It was so humbling to see how they reacted after the trip. Believe it or not, Brian, there were few tears. It was so interesting. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay with us. So I think this is something I'd like to continue.
I want to go next year. Sounds fantastic.
You're gonna come. Perhaps next one is in January. So back to your question: how do you treat? To me, that experience where you give something different, something extraordinary, where they're gonna come experience Eric Sana is my mission.
We're going to take a final break and come back with some concluding comments with Eric Sana in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everyone. Interesting chat about authenticity, about style, about brand, about putting the extra and extraordinary, and then visiting Italy or wherever it is as a native in business that's going to look at the fashion business. Interesting conversation, and then I think most importantly about how you treat people. Eric, appreciate it. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting tonight with Eric Sana. Eric has a fashion brand that I've had the pleasure of wearing a few times, if not, frankly, a lot of times. Eric, 10 years from now, where do you think men's fashion is going to be? Are we all going to be wearing T-shirts like in Star Trek, or are we going to be wearing fancy clothes like in the Jetsons, or what are we going to be wearing in the future, do you think?
Very, very good question. I think, yes, it's going to evolve and it's going to change. But I think it's not only so much fashion is going to change, it's the access to fashion is going to change, I think. And it's already happening. I think the ultimate will be where you, Brian, going to be able to buy Eric Sana app. You're going to buy some thread and you're going to go and print your jacket. You're not going to need to go to the store anymore. You're going to be able to print because you're going to have your printer's going to print your jacket. I think that is the future.
The printer's going to print my jacket right here in my house.
That's what I say. I'm going on the limb and say this. Now, by the way, this is nothing new. It's already happening. Now it's happening in parts. They bring parts and they put parts together. But I think the connection between 3D scanning and measurements, 3D measurements, and printing will come along at some point. The problem is right now they can get measurements correct, but they cannot get postures correct. But I think that's going to change too. So I think the access will change to fashion, and this perhaps is the ultimate. But I still think people, at least from now, for another 5, 10 years, you said 10-year period, still want to come in and feel, because humans are connected to feelings. And by the way, Brian, I really truly believe, and I may leave you with this, I don't sell products. I truly believe I offer people feelings. And those feelings, I believe, are expressed through those jackets, pants, shirts, where people are going to connect with what I do, and how they connect is very, very important to me. So I'm thinking being part of this change is great, and perhaps adding these 3D abilities so people can come in a store. By the way, you're going to be able to do that in the store first. So they're going to probably most likely introduce these 3D printings in the store where you're going to come and do it yourself. And maybe perhaps in the future, you're going to, as you said, you're going to be able to do that at home as well.
Eric, I really appreciate you joining us and sharing a little bit of your story, of your understanding of fashion, where it's going. I really love some of the things that you've talked about in regards to authenticity, about comfort and fit, about putting the extra and extraordinary, about how you treat people. It's been an interesting conversation. Remind everyone, if you could, where is your store?
Interesting, I will take. Thank you, Brian. It's at Sherway Gardens Mall, Etobicoke, 25 the West Mall. Again, one of the best malls in Canada. I would appreciate, encourage you guys come and say hi to us. Great staff in the store, and I'm here most of the time these days. So come on down.
Eric Sana, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's our show for tonight. Thank you all for joining. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock, and all my podcasts and video casts go up on social media as soon as the radio show goes to air. Good night, everybody. Thank you.